Welcome back to part 2 of the Pavlov's House playthrough. If you remember at the end of excuse me, the last episode, we're in a little bit of danger up here, so we need to hopefully try and get that disrupted token off as soon as possible. So, it is the Soviet cards. We're going to do 4. And that's not good, because we have nothing that can help us get rid of that disrupted token, so we're still under danger. So, of the 3, what do we do? I think what I'm going to do, first things first, I am going to use this card to get my supplies across the Volga. So we've got 2 sappers in place now, which can help us in our defences, and extra food, which you don't need right away. So that's first action. At the moment, because we've got no enemy counters on here, I'm not too bothered about either of those. I've got no anti-aircraft, so there's 2 options I can do with that. I can get rid of these disruption counters, or I can place one of the anti-aircraft battalions. So I'm going to do that in the 267th. I'm to try and save, so that if any aircraft come, we'd want to minimise the danger on that. So that's 2 goes. And the third one, what do I do? I'm going to leave, I don't know if I'm going to leave that one. The 2 things that are options for me is, well, 3 I suppose. In fact, that is what I am going to do. I could put an artillery on there. I haven't got a forward observer in place yet, so it can't be used. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to take the disrupted counter off, but I'm going to place that there. And I'll explain the reason for that. If I then roll a 17, there's no disrupted counter goes on, it just takes that off. Now, say there was a disrupted counter there and I rolled a 17, it then goes up to the next highest number, which in this case would mean I lost the game. So I'm providing a little bit of extra protection there, because I am concerned about that. So that is my 3rd and final turn. So let's move on to the Wehrmacht. And let's have, I'm going to remember to do the tactics card first, this one. So on this turn, roll 1 extra die when making the attack roll for all artillery cards. So similar to the one we had before. So let's see what dangers we're bringing. So first of all, this is the one we really don't want, and I'm going to use this token to roll 2 dice. There's only 2 bombers coming at us, so in theory, if we could roll a 4, 5 or a 6 on both dice, we can negate this attack. And we have. So, excellent start. Although if we have another aircraft come at us, we've got no anti-aircraft fire. We have. Now, I've got nothing I can do to stop this. So this could be disastrous. So we're going to roll 3 times for the 3 bombers. We've got a 12. So the first one we've got is, just move that so you can see where we landed. First bomber has hit the 267. Second bomber, 7. That's hit the Volga flotilla. So we did well by getting those off there in time. So the 3rd and final bomber's coming in, and we've got a 13. So this will actually explain what I was talking about a minute ago. The 13 is already covered, so it moves up to the next highest, which is 14, and that's covered. It already disrupts, so that's the 15. So you can see why I'm so worried about that as this starts to fill up. So that's card number 2, so the third one. And you can see next turn is the resupply token, which we'll talk about. Attack building with 10.5 centimetres. So it's 4 dice, but as you remember the tactics said roll 1 extra, so we've got 5 dice here that we're going to be using. First of all, let's see where they're going to hitting us. 6. So a 6 is the purple side. So we're going to get hit down here with 5 dice. As I said, this purple one is probably the most preferable because you're going to get less attacks down this side. There is a 6 on those 5 dice, so we do lose 1 level of defence. So we're down to there. So that's going back to cards. On the bright side, we're still in business, but it's not going well early on. We can now make 3 movements with these soldiers. I'll say 3, maximum of 3, because these 2 are exhausted, so they can't move anyway. So there's no need to move any of these at the moment, really. So what I'm going to do, I've got 2 exhaust at the moment. My first turn, I'm going to use Chinogalov. Now, and he's going to be using the radio to get 2 points worth of reserves. So we can't get a lot for this. I mean, I could get 2 mortar guys, will get me a lot of suppression. But I think I'm just going to go for, what do I go for? There's a couple where they've got a count attack. Yeah, oh, no, that's a 3, so that's 3-star, can't do that. So I'm just going to go for one of the standard guys. Subba. And he is going to move into the reserve space. So that is action number 1. Action number 2 is use the command function for Pavlov, which turns into exhaust, to recover 3, up to 3 people, and we've got 3. That's why I played this one first. So Chinogalov is back to full strength. He can't do another action though because he's already done one. These 2 guys, Glashenko and Chekhov, are back to full strength and they can take an action. So we've used 2. The third action, I'm not going to actually use those 2 now. I'm going to use Alexandrov to suppress, well, to get an extra suppressed token ready from here into the red area. The reason I'm doing the red one rather than the green, you've got a 1 or a 2 gets your soldiers here, or armour at later days. 3, 4, 5. So there's more chance of it hitting the red, so I'd rather have more there. So that's my 3 turns, and we're done. So it's back to the Soviet turn. Let's do these 4 cards. 1, 2, got it, we need that. 3, 4. So it's a no-brainer really for the start of this. First action is going to be this one. We get rid of this token here. On the floor. Excuse me, sorry about that. That's action number 1. Action number 2. Again, there's a lot I want to do, and not enough to do it with. Right, okay. I've got a plan. Not necessarily a good plan, but I've got a plan. I want to undisrupt one of the 267th. That's turn number 2. And then for the third one, I was thinking about getting extra supplies with the 62nd, but I'm not. I'm going to use the 13th to try and bring in reinforcements. And let me just explain something here, which you're going to see in a minute anyway. For that card, when it's in effect, which will be next turn, for every 5 defenders I have on here, including the reserves, it needs 1 food. I've currently got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to have to spend 2 food. If I bring reinforcements in, it's not going to get up to 10 or above 10. So I can still get away with the 2 food I'm going to have to use. So what we're going to get, I'd like to get in a forward observer so that the artillery can start to come into play. So Saki-san for 4. And then, who do I bring in for a 2? I may bring in... I'm thinking about bringing in the anti-tank guys. They cost 2 though. I do think they're useful to have. So the anti-tank guys cost 2 each. But then you also need the anti-tank weapon. Is that a waste? Got a cost of 2. Right, I'm going to bring in an anti-tank guy, because I can use him for something else as well if necessary. So that's my 6 to bring them into the reserves, and that is my third and final go. So we've already talked about this. For every 5 defenders, take 1 food. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 2 food go from the supplies into here. There's another 2 of those in the pack. We've got 1 food there, so we do need to get more food across over the next few turns. Flip side of this is the storm group. Now, if there are no enemies on the board, which there aren't on this track, purple track, we can attack school number 38. And what we do is we have to take guys from the house to involve them in the attack. And I think it's when it's one of the 62nd Army's possible actions. So for every one of the guys that we take on this raid, we roll 1 dice. Unless they've got an S, which means they can roll an extra one. If we get 10 or more, the raid is a success and we get the victory points. And that is needed. Now we've missed out on those. I'm still a bit... So let's go. I'm pointing there and you can't see it. That's for the operational support card. So the storm group, I'm going to try and do that because we're in a good position at the moment of not having anybody on that track. So let's see if it's something we can manage. And that's why I said there could be another use for Bakimenko. I could send him into the attack. But anyway, so that is our first Wehrmacht card. Second one, I've got a rifleman to place. Potentially. Let's roll the dice. And it's a 6. Which means the rifle counter goes there. Now, that actually blocks this as well, because we've not got an uncleared area. But we'll do something about that. And the third one, I'm going to read this bit out. It's not too difficult. It's an assault. It's quite simple, I think, on this one. But I just want to make sure I get it right. So what we do is, this is to do with what enemy counts are on there. Armour, we've got no armour in place, so it doesn't matter. Infantry, we've only got that one. And they're going to try and suppress somebody on this, on the purple side. Now, normally I'd roll the dice. There's no point, because this guy, Pavlov, is the only one there. So he's going to try and suppress Pavlov. You've got 1 dice to roll. If he gets a 5 or a 6, because that's our defence value for this side of the wall, with the 1 dice, we get a disrupted token on Pavlov. If not, there's... Oh, I've missed out again. Add 1 to the defence value for infantry. That's tactics card. Sorry. You can see we're now on 2 because the match up. I didn't have anybody to suppress this infantry guy that we put in place, so fortunately had no effect. Oh, it might do, yeah. We've got another card. No, this is the 3rd one. So anyway, he is now going to try and suppress Pavlov with 1 attack roll, and he needs a 5 or a 6. And it was a 4, it's now a 3. Sorry about that. Hopefully you could see that before it went over. So there's no effect, so we dropped lucky with that. So that is the end of their turn. I will start remembering those bloody tactics cards. Okay, what are we going to do? I want to get that man out of the way and I want to have a go. So I'm bringing Chekhov over here. He's going to shoot at that guy. Then I want to bring... how do I bring the forward observe now? I'm going to bring... let's see, don't know. I'm going to bring Sukba into play. Put him onto there, so that's the 2nd one. And the 3rd one. See, I've got no artillery available at the moment, so I can bring him into play if I've got artillery next turn. I'm going to play that one. No, just swap those. I'm going to put him there and him there. The reason for that is just in case Chekhov doesn't get the rifleman, then Glushenko can have a go at him as well. And what I've also got is the tactics card. Let me just double check, because the tactics card we've got in play here is adding 1 to the defence value for infantry, which we have got now. I'm just checking whether that applies for the whole turn or just the Wehrmacht card turn. For the rest of the turn, so this is still the turn. Same turn, different phase. So we need, with Chekhov, we need a 5 or a 6 from his 4 dice rolls. So Chekhov's going over that way. So first action. So 4 dice rolls to try and take out this rifleman. 5 or a 6. And we've got a 6. So we've got him. So we've got a clear path to potentially trying a storm group raid. That guy's gone. So we've had 1 turn. What I want to do now is Sukba at the top. Just going to use him. Look at all the food tokens over them. Turn him over. And I want to put another suppression on there. So building them up, and now with my 3rd and final turn, because if we do go for the raid, if we pull out a 60-second card, you can't do it. You can't send in guys that are disrupted or exhausted, so we need as many fit as possible. But I can't do that because Pavlov is exhausted. And I could still send in 3 soldiers. Because I've got Chernobyl, Yakimenko and Glashenko. The problem with sending the soldiers in is there's a fair chance they don't come back. You roll after the raid, and on a roll of 1 to 4, the soldier is killed and discarded completely. 5 or 6 to come back to the house in the reserves box. But it's not often you get chances at these raids, so I am going to, rather than flip Pavlov up, which would help, I am going to, can't do without the red head, so I'm going to flip Alexandrov up so he can take part in the raid. This could be a bad move here, but stuff it, let's see. I'll try and win this game. So that is the end of that turn. We now have got 4 cards and we need a 60-second, ideally, to try the raid. No luck so far. No. No. Oh dear. Right, first turn. Taking this guy and I'm going to undisrupt this Volga area. That's 1. And then my other 2, I'm not going to use this card. I'm going to put anti-aircraft tokens on each, 1083rd and the 267th. So we're not going to undisrupt those areas. We're going to try and cover any aircraft that hits us. So that is that. Tactics card, let's not forget. When you place a scout, immediately place a second scout, roll for its placement location separately. This card has no effect if the initial scout is suppressed. This card can only be used once a turn. Let's put that down and that will come into effect if we draw a scout. Well, let's have a look. First card. Panzer. Panzers cannot be suppressed by these cards. This is where we need the artillery in place. Let's roll. 6, that's what we didn't want. Because, let's have a look for, let's find me one of the tokens. I think you'll see why, I think you'll have followed why it's not good. That one's there. We now haven't got a clear route to the raid. Another Panzer to be placed. Just double check on the whether we can suppress them. One of those where I know we can't, but I just want to 100% check. I don't want to give people wrong information on it. Decide whether to attempt to suppress. If the Wehrmacht counter is infantry, so machine gunners, riflemen or scouts, and if you have suppression tokens in the suppression box, match the colour, you can use as many suppression tokens. Yes, so yeah, I'm right. So another Panzer Dre and 4. So that one is coming up here. Not good. So that's the second one. And the third one is an attack on the building. So with 3 dice for 7.5 centimetre. It's attacking the green side where we really are very low with our defences. We could be down to our lowest level, which starts to really, can potentially really hurt us. So 4 above with the 3 dice. Yes, 4 and a 6. So our defences are very weak on the green side now. That's the bit that goes. So we're totally, things are totally different. We've got to do a couple of different things now. First of all, first turn is to get Pavlov, our only command guy, back onto his normal side. I'm going to also radio for reserves, and we're going to start to look at getting some anti-tank weaponry in place. Well, first of all, we're going to get Turgonov ready. So that's the two points you're allowed. Ooh. See that? From the radio reserve. So that's the first. Oh, I've not moved. I want him. Sorry, apologies. I want this guy in play. Forward observer from the movement. And I'm going to put him I'm actually going to put him, I don't know if I can do that, so I don't want him on this side. There's nothing. I'm going to put him here. That's that guy there. So that was movement. Now on to my third turn. Got suppressions in place. I think my third turn, I've got some. I think I'm just going to flip Chekhov back. That's my third and final turn. I want to get him in play for next turn, and that's it for this one. 26, I've got time for this. So we've got on to that last turn. Now we've got another one just to really rub it in. A Fog of War card. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do my first turn, do what I did before. The 139th Signal Battalion are going to get rid of a Fog of War. So it happens like this, and we turn over another card. So that Fog of War is gone now. But remember, we have had an action, so we can't use all three of these cards. We've got two more to go. And what I'd like to do with at least, well, they're all 62nd Army here. Yeah, what I want to do is get some reserves in the staging area, some extra stock. So got one food there. Let's get another 2 food. We can put 5 items here. I've not decided which one of these I'm getting rid of yet. 1, 2. I don't really need that. I want a couple more sappers. No, 1 sapper. And a couple of first aid ones. So that is the first turn. Now these guys are quite close. Yeah, there's less on that one. I'm just wondering whether to put a sapper here to try and block them. I think it might be a good idea. And I've got to use one of these. So that one was what I used for the supplies. My final turn. 13th Guard unit. Do I? Yeah, I'm going to put a sapper in play. Not done that yet. So we're going to use the 8th Guard Sapper Battalion. And what we do is we place that there. And what happens is if something moves on to that, you roll 3 dice. And if you get their defence value or above, you take them out. And as you've seen, the panzers are more difficult to get rid of than the infantry, so don't know with that. So now onto the Wehrmacht turn. And we've got a bomb Stalingrad. I did see in another playthrough actually, sorry, just something else I want to check. What they were doing was turning all 3 cards over at once. They're playing them in order, But it meant they knew what they were doing. Now, to me, that's an advantage, because you can then plan. If I'm deciding now, do I play one anti-aircraft token or two, it's an advantage to know, which I feel that's a bit of an unfair advantage. Yeah, that's not the reveal 3 Wehrmacht cards from the Wehrmacht card deck, one at a time, resolving the effect of each one before moving to the next. So maybe he's doing it right and I'm doing it wrong, but I feel that gives an advantage to myself, so I'm carrying on doing it this way. So I'm going to take the 2 anti-aircraft counters I've got there, so which means I can roll 4 dice, and there's 3 bombers coming at me. Oh, I haven't done the tactics card yet again, have I? Roll 1 extra dice. I die when making the attack roll for all artillery cards, so it doesn't affect this one. It does seem to be my common fault for getting that this turn. So 4 dice, 4 and above. We need 3. We've only got rid of 1, the 6. So we've still got 2 bombers coming at us to cause us damage. Let's see what they do. First bomber. See that? 10. So a 10 is going there. So it's taken out for now one of the artillery areas, which we do need to get some artillery on. So the second and final bomber, 14. And so we're getting a lot of damage to this area. So that's card number 1. The scouts. Fortunately, if they did come out on the last one, that would have been an extra scout coming out potentially as well. So let's roll first of all to see which is 5. Okay. So potentially the scout is coming up here, 5. I'll just put him there for now. But we have got in the red area suppression counters, and I'm going to use 3 of them to roll 3 dice. So these go to stock. And I need a 5 or above from one of them to prevent that scout being placed. And we've got it. So that scout does not come to the board. And with the 3rd and final token, we've got some machine gunners now coming at us, so let's see where that one's going to be placed. 5 again, and we've just used all our suppression counters, so that one does come onto the table. That's the Wehrmacht phase over. So what do we do here? I could bring this guy into play, but until I've got an anti-tank gun, there's no... I need to bring him into play. So do I move? Who do I move? So you I move. Move Chekhov to here, which brings that guy there. And the reason you probably know by now is to take out that machine gunner, if possible. I don't think I'm going to make any other change. Again, I do have a bit of a... If I get radio reserves, it actually says... Let's have a look on the play aid. Yeah, that doesn't really... So if I do that, I want to see whether I can get an anti-tank gun. So because they do cost 2 points. But I'm sure it says in the rules oh no, I do get 2 points spent on Soviet and weapon counters. I was thinking it said Soviet counters, so I can do that. I might not even do that still after that. But first things first, we're going to use Chekhov with his 4 dice, the sniper guy, to try and take out that machine gunner. So we need a 4, 5 or 6. And we've got it with all of them. So machine gunner's gone. Turn number 1. I am going to do that, so I'm going to use him for turn number 2 and bring the gun. So then we'll have this anti-tank gun we can bring over there into play next turn. And then the third go is going to be Pavlov. The command action to get these 3 guys back into the game, but it leaves Pavlov exhausted, obviously. Oh, keep on these instructed one, similar colour. Okay, so that's that. Now let's 4 cards. Another fog of war, but I can't get rid of it. See, 13th, I've got enough soldiers at the moment on that. I don't think I need any more soldiers. Anti-aircraft I can use. Let's dump a fog of war card. I think that'll be a... Got a lot of disrupted counters on there though. No, let's dump a fog of war while we can. So that's first action. We also get to turn another card over. So we've only got 2 actions left. And I think I want to bolster the anti-aircraft area. And I'm worried about the amount of disruption I've got over on this side. But the other option is, do I put a sapper in there? I'd like to have got some of these across. There's never enough. It's always a balancing act. So yeah, I'm going to get 2 anti-aircraft, one for the 267th and that one for the 1083rd. So we get them in place. I'm just going to shuffle this deck. Tactics card. I'd one for the defense value for Junkers, Ju-87s. If we draw one of those cards, so let's see what cards we draw. We also need to get some food across to the, and we have. Now, do I use both anti-aircraft? Yes, I do. Use them both, so I can roll 4 dice to try and get rid of them. I know I could maybe use 1 and save 1, but I want to try and stop any bombing. Oh, they've got. Also, add 1 to the defense value as well, so I need a 5 or a 6 from these. And there's 3 bombers. We got rid of 1. So, 2 bombers are going to hit us. That's a 6. Didn't want that. Sorry, another one to come, isn't there? And it's a 9, which we've already got one on 9. Visible. Yeah, 9 down there. So it goes up to the next highest there, which already got one. So we've got that. So that's, we can't even get artillery into play at the moment. Although artillery, you can do it on 2. You can bomb 2 adjacent areas. So I prefer to do it when we get into a little bit of trouble. Rifleman to place. See where it's here. 4. say that's there. No suppression counters in red. So that rifleman is going to be automatically placed, and you'll see what's happened because we've already got something on the 4-track. That's where we need the artillery, because they could attack both of those spaces in one go. And the third and final one, another machine, another infantry. We're getting there. So don't want a 4. And it's a 1. Now I have got 1 suppression counter, so I'm going to try it. So that goes back into stock. Roll 1 dice to try and get a 4, 5 or 6 to stop this machine gunner appearing on column 1. And we've got a 4. So we're okay. So not a great turn, but not a disaster. And we've now got these guys to place. Leave Chekhov there so he can shoot at these. I might want to get some suppression. Let's move this guy here. Now this is a risk. That's 1 move. 2 moves. Oh, sorry, not this guy. 2 moves. And the 3rd move is this guy on here. So the anti-tank gun can come into play now. To shoot with them, it takes 2 actions because you've got 2 guys there. And they're also at risk from the purple or red attacking them. So that's the movement done. I'm not sure if I moved him right. I'm coming to that after this. I'm going to finish the video anyway, so I'll just rewind and just double check that and correct it if necessary for the start of the next one. So I think I'd like to try and take out the tank. I don't know if I'm being daft because Chekhov could take this guy. Yeah, Chekhov's going to take out that guy. So he's going to roll his 4 dice and he needs a 4, 5 or a 6. And he's got that, it's a 5. So the rifleman goes. So that means if somebody else appears, it won't push the Panzer automatically 1 forward. So that's go number 1. Go number 2. I'm going to go for suppression. In there, just 1. And the final turn is Pavlov come back into play so he can get the exhaustion off some of these guys at the start of next turn. That's the 3 goes. So what I'm looking at when I come back, I think, is we've got a lot of disruption over here, which is not good. Also, we need to get some food tokens over here because that's going to come up soon. We really need to get some food across there. Not in a terrible state. Obviously, we're still not in a place where we can attack with the Storm Group raid, but they're not too threatening at the moment. So that's the priorities. Food over here and get some these disruptions cleared. Thank you for tuning in, and I will be back very soon with part 3.